The newest Auburn Tigers are getting settled here on the Plains.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first or second listen every single day. This is a bonus episode of the show, Happy Hour edition. Well, we're going to be joined by Hudson Kaak, the new Auburn punter, former Oklahoma State punter, to talk about his relationships with his teammates and how he's getting acclimated to Auburn. Here we go. Joining us now, Auburn punter Hudson Kaak, hanging out with us. Man, last time we chatted, you had just committed. Now you're living here in Auburn. How's that transition been?
Yeah, it's been great. I was just saying it's been pretty cold. I was expecting to move down south and not have all the snow and all the cold weather, but we haven't even had a week's worth of school yet because it's been snow days and canceled classes and stuff like that. So overall it's been great. The football side of things has been awesome to get to know everybody, and we're loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Don't get used to snow for sure. You'll probably won't see snow again during your time here at Auburn. But yeah, it's been a weird week. Super, super strange. As far as kind of just getting to know teammates and all of that, what does that process look like? Does the team do anything officially or even unofficially that maybe is player-led? I imagine it's a normal thing every offseason now with the portal. Like, rosters change way more than they used to.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and you got to get your head around it. And I've seen different things at both organizations that I've been involved in on how to get the team to gel as much as you can. And obviously there's been a bit of a curveball having everything canceled this week. But everyone's done their best, and there's little things that we have in the off season here where everyone's split into different teams. And within those teams, you'll have guys that are from every different position and from all parts of America and all that sort of thing. And you spend a bit more time with them through the winter, and then the teams will change through the spring. And by the end of it, it is obviously very challenging having, so many guys on a team. Everyone's facing the same thing. But the good thing about Auburn is that most of the exercises, most of the workouts and meetings and all that sort of stuff, even like eating at the wellness center, is all including everybody. It's not like specialists to go this time and everyone else goes this time, and you know what I mean? It's like everyone's working out together as a collective unit. So over time, like I've only been here for 2 weeks, and you end up spending time with everybody throughout the whole thing. And there's some characters on the team, that's for sure, and I'm loving it. It's great. Yeah.
Who are some guys that have stood out to you? I mean, it could be folks that are the jokesters. It could be folks that are impressive in workouts. I mean, who are just some guys who have stood out to you so far?
Well, you're going to test me on full names. I'm only on like first names or last names or nicknames.
Okay, sure.
I mean, there's a few guys that I've gravitated towards that I've been hanging out with the most, and Jackson Arnold's one of those. And we've sort of obviously both coming from Oklahoma, and
is there any smack talk there? The whole Oklahoma State stuff, or is it we're all Auburn now?
Yeah, no, we give each other a bit of cheek here and there, but sure. And I remind him as much as I can that we won the last Bedlam. So
I think you should. Absolutely.
He doesn't like it very much, but like him and I have become pretty close and have gelled together, as well as all the specialists have been great. Reed, Hughes, and Alex, and Ian, Town. All the kickers and snappers and all that sort of stuff. They've been great and sort of taken me in and welcomed me with everything. I'm not sure about last name, but Tate.
Yeah, lineman Tate Johnson.
He's hilarious. He's
okay.
He seems to be like the bit of a. He keeps the mood up everywhere and all the energy up, and he's always cracking jokes and stuff. And it's good to have in workouts when everyone's pretty gassed and trying to just like get through it. And he's walking around and wearing minimal clothes and no, all that sort of thing. It's very funny. But yeah, all the guys have been great. And the more I get to know, the more I'm sort of like finding out different personalities. But there hasn't been like anyone that's like stood out to be, not welcoming or anything. Everyone's super good.
Yeah. And that's part of the pitch at Auburn, right? It's the whole Auburn family thing. I mean, I imagine there's a mix of that everywhere, but Auburn definitely seems to lean into that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And it's even like the coaches and the analysts and all that sort of thing. Like everyone's just very easy to talk to, and there's not like when the coaches are talking to you, like there's a mutual respect. Mm-hmm. There's not super big egos where they like no one's talking down to you all the time. Like even in the workouts and stuff, like Coach Dom and his staff have been really good, and understanding that the workouts that I do here are nothing like any that I've done anywhere else before. So like it takes a bit of time to teach the transfers all the stuff, because Dom runs a very like modern scientific sort of lifting regime, whereas where I came from was still good, but it was very traditional old school type of lifts. So I was laughing with some of my Oklahoma State friends when I was talking to them. I was like, there's literally not a single lift I've done here is anything I've done before. So
interesting.
I'm kind of like a bit of a baby giraffe trying to walk. Like I don't know what I'm doing with most of the lifts, but it's fun.
That's super. I mean, you always kind of assume like, different strength and conditioning programs, like they've got to be some overlap, but they're totally different from what you did at OK State.
Yeah. Coach Glass is, he's pretty well renowned around everywhere at Oklahoma State. He's been doing it 30, 40 years. I don't even know how long he's been doing it, but he was a strength coach when Coach Gundy was playing. So he's been doing it for a long time. So and I'm not like, I don't know if any is like better or worse, and I suppose it's different for each preference, but Coach Glass runs a very like traditional, old school, like Olympic lifts, like power lift sort of stuff, and like more like super power. Whereas there's a lot more modern technology and modern exercises and stuff in Coach Dom's regime, which they're all good, but this one has me very sore.
That's probably a good thing. A good thing. Do you do the same stuff as like the offensive linemen do? Is everybody doing the same thing right now
at Auburn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the most part. Obviously, the weights vary because they're so much stronger than everybody. But
sure.
But I think so. From what I've been told, in the winter and the summer, everything's pretty similar. But in spring and fall, when in the season, like everything changes, and the specialists have a different thing. The skill guys have a different thing, and the quarterbacks have a different thing, and then the linemen have a separate. So I think it just varies on the time of the year that it is.
Makes sense. So obviously there was a change since we last spoke when it came to special teams coaching at Auburn. I want to get your thoughts on that and kind of what your perspective has been with that. That's coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. It doesn't matter if it's for football, basketball, baseball, even non-sports stuff. Whether you're going to see a concert or you're going to the theater or some comedy show, Game Time has you covered, and Game Time makes it even easier to create those unforgettable moments with their new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. It filters out all the fluff, and it shows you the best deal, the best value, so you can focus on just buying the ticket and then being excited about your upcoming event. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Hudson Kaak, the Auburn punter, hanging out with us today. So last time you came on, Tanner Burns was the special teams coach. He's now taken a position at Texas State. Chad Lunsford is now Auburn's special teams coach. You as a player, when you're a position coach, a guy who, I mean, you talked about how much Tanner Burns, Coach Burns, was recruiting you and kind of showing you around when you did your visit. That it changes. What's kind of your perspective when all that happens?
It's a bit of, for me anyway. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else who's been in this position. It's a mixed emotions, really. It's like you have every sort of, when I first heard the news, I had every emotion. I was a little bit annoyed, and then but I can understand why. That's just the industry that we're in, and
Sure.
People take better opportunities and do what's best for them. And I wish nothing but the best for Coach Burns, and I still talk to him pretty regularly. And
Sure.
I think he's going to go on to do great things. But at the end of the day, he was a part of why I chose Auburn. But there's so many other elements to why I made this decision. And Paxton Montgomery, he's the special teams analyst. He's still here, and he was like another big reason why I chose to come here. And everything else along with it, like the culture here and the facilities and the opportunities that it's going to present me going forward, are the main reasons why I picked Auburn. And so it doesn't really take away from the experience that I'm going to have. It's just changes it, shifts it a little bit.
Sure. What's your interaction with Coach Lunsford been so far?
He hasn't been down here yet, but I've spoken to him over the phone because he only got hired yesterday. So
sure.
I think he gets down here next week at some stage, maybe on the weekend. I'm not quite sure yet, but he's spoken to me on the phone, and he's we've already got group chats and all that sort of stuff going with the specialists, and he seems like a really good guy. I've heard great things from a lot of people about him, so yeah, should be good. It's always like a bit of a weird time getting a new coach and sort of getting you're trying to get on what's the word? You're trying to build a relationship with the new coach and put your best foot forward. But I'm sure everyone's in the same boat, so it's just going to be a all-in thing. Whereas if Coach Burns did stay, it would have been just me in that position. So this time it's like all of us, because we're all getting a new guy, and so it's exciting.
Yeah. Nah, that's a good point. Yeah, former head coach, so that'll be good, bringing that experience and kind of that different approach to the room. I got a feeling that'll be a positive thing. So just like the relationship between a punter and a special teams coach, like what does that look like in a practice situation? Like what is he coaching you to do typically? And obviously you can't speak for Coach Lunsford, but just in the past, like during the week, are they saying like certain traits about what the kick or the punt returner does in a given situation? Like what does that look like day to day for you?
So for me, in the 2 years that I've been here, obviously I haven't been at Auburn, so I don't know anything that goes on during the season or in practice for them. But when I was at Oklahoma State, I had two sides of the coin. So the first year I had just an analyst, and Coach Gundy ran most of the special teams.
Okay.
And we get coached on the tendencies of the returner, the tendencies of the other team, and the protection and all that sort of thing that they run, and where I need to punt the ball, if that makes sense, to give us the best chance of coverage. But then the second year, Coach Sean Snyder, Bill Snyder's son, came in, and he was like literally a kicking and punting coach. So he did all the other stuff, but he was like technique based. So we would break down film of my punts, and then we'd do film, like he'd set up a Trackman. I don't know if you know what that is. And it's like a machine that goes on the field, and it films everything, and it films everything from 3 angles, and then it will tell you how far your ball went, how many revolutions it had, how many.
That's a big thing in like baseball, like breaking down baseball form and analytics and stuff. Yeah,
they're big in golf as well. So it'll tell you like the flight path of your ball, the apex, how high that was, the power that you put into the ball. So he was very technical, and he was very good on the technique side of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I can understand, as a general rule, a lot of them are not so much technique. They're more just like, this is what you need to do, and this is going to give us the best chance to perform well on punt. And so, and hopefully with Coach Lunsford, and I know with Coach Burns, he said that it's very much a communication thing. Like, if the punter feels comfortable to do this in practice or that, depending on the wind and the weather and all that sort of thing. There's a lot of elements that come into it and what the returner does. Sorry, my cat's just...
Are you a cat guy?
Yeah, I've got a little cat. But
all right. What's your cat's name?
Her name's Margot.
Margot.
Yeah.
Margot the cat.
Yeah.
Cool. When you run out there on fourth down, is it just punt left, punt right, punt middle, or is it deeper than that? I assume it's much deeper than that.
It's definitely deeper. There's a lot of more talk about what the
did Margaret just knock something over?
Yeah, she's just going crazy right now for some reason.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
Well, the one time I don't want her to, but anyway,
that's okay. That's okay.
A lot of it's around like the protection, because teams will have different looks and have different tendencies based on how far it is. Like if you're really close, they might be more fake secure, and so then they're not going to come as much for the block, and so your protection might be a bit safer or something. Like it varies depending on the block. So usually it also depends what hash you're on, how far out you are. So it's
who calls that? Does the head coach typically call that, or do they call that through the special teams coach? What does that systematically look like?
What I've been told with Coach Burns here, it was very much like the punter and Burns would discuss it, and then they'd make a call as to what they feel most comfortable with. But at Oklahoma, it was very much like they would ask Coach Gundy, and then Gundy would give them the all clear to do this or that. But
got it.
I think it varies based on the school you're at, and obviously I can't really speak much for Auburn because we've got a new coach and I've never punted here. So
totally, yeah. I'm just kind of asking, like in general, what's the rule there? Yeah. Is there a specific part of the field you like punting from the most, where you're like most likely to pin them?
I like punting from, like, if the ball's at the -40 to the +40, if that is a thing, because usually I can get it inside the 10 and pin it, or inside the 5, hopefully, and pin them, really deep and put their offense in a really bad situation.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So is the thought process for that to like let the ball hit on like the 15 and just hope you get a good bounce? Is that the thought process there?
It depends. I like to read the rush that I'm getting, and if I can hold it for as long as I can, and then I'll put it closer to like the 4 or the 5 and hope that my gunner can catch it.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's the idea. So, like, I don't know if you've...
Do you know who your gunners are going to be yet?
No.
No. Sure, fastest folks on the team? Is that your hope? Usually
it's the real fast guys. And, when it's that position, that most teams don't rush as much typically. And so you can hold onto the ball a little bit longer, and then you punt it. And usually those guys get down there and they can down it inside the 5 or something like that. So that
got it.
Is what I used to love to do the most. But then there isn't really a punt that I don't like, obviously, other than being backed up in the end zone and I don't have my full, yardage to actually kick it.
Right.
That's not ever good for anybody. But other than that, I really don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has to go wrong in that situation, but sadly it happens. Hudson, thank you for your time, man. Really appreciate it. Hopefully it warms up for you.
No worries. I'm sure it will. I think we're through the cold of it now, but it's been good.
Awesome, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much to Hudson. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Super fun guy to talk to. No question about it. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. And be sure to tune in throughout the week. Daryl Dappridge and I, as this is dropping, Daryl Dappridge and I are on the road to Mobile to check out the Auburn Tigers that are down there. Hugh Freeze is supposed to be down there as well. And so we will have all of that coverage here on Locked On Auburn. Like the video, please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.